All right, guys. Thanks for joining. I am here with the one and only Arm Wrestling News' Pradeep, and we are here today to recap East versus West 5 from his perspective and my perspective. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like, subscribe, and share. Let's help grow. But not only Lethal Arms, but let's go ahead and do the same for Arm Wrestling News as well.
Yeah.
So Pradeep, tell me. I know you caught it from the pay-per-view perspective. I bought the pay-per-view. I have not got a chance to watch the 6.5 hours or whatever it is. So tell me, how was the feed? How was the presentation? And how was the production as it compares to the ones in the past?
Perfect, Paul. First of all, thanks for inviting me or accepting my invite to do this on your channel, because like when we did a couple of shows together, everyone was saying that like this is one of the best duos. Like when you converse, the conversation flow is amazing. You should do it weekly. So let's hope we can stick to that right now. And talking about the pay-per-view thing, it was by far the best. Like amazing pay-per-view. There were many comments before as well. People were saying that for them the stream never crashed, but for me, till East versus West 4, the stream crashed at least once or twice or maybe three times. But this was the first time that even for me, sitting here in India, the stream did not crash even for once, and everything was perfect. No audio snags, no video snags. It was just absolutely awesome, and you can probably tell it by just looking at Engin's face while they were wrapping it off and Engin was giving that speech. It was really awesome. I thought Engin was almost about to cry. He was so happy after this, but he somehow managed to hold himself, and like
Yeah,
it was just
man.
amazing.
I'm so happy for him because he pours his heart and soul into these things. And we all know how technical things, like we're in the fifth iteration of this. There's still things to improve on. There's always going to be. But the early frustrations of trying to put one or two of these productions together has to be so stressful because Angan wants to please everybody. He wants everyone happy. And those things outside of his control that wind up maybe not working out correctly, my heart goes out to him. So I'm so glad this one turned out a lot better because I mean, holy crap, he's got so much money, time, and energy invested into this thing. So I'm glad to hear it came out well from the viewer side. I talked to a bunch of my friends and everything who bought it, and they noted no real issues.
Yeah.
So that's a huge step in the right direction.
So how many matches did you get to see before you like started preparing for your own match or after your own match? Like how many matches did you miss? That would be a better question.
Oh, so I was all over the place. I cornered a couple of people. Um, when John was arm wrestling, I was down right at the front of the stage where you couldn't see. Same with the Devon match, the ones that we were really invested in. But other than those main ones, Dave Chaffee and I cornered Justin Bishop, cornered Dave. I did not catch Wagner Bortolato, and I was bouncing around, going to the bathroom, doing some stuff after my match, where I missed portions of both of Artem Morozov's match. Um, I missed a few here and there. I can't really. I was in and out of a few of them. We were doing interviews and all this other good stuff, but all the big ones I did catch, like the big most notable matches. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, huge, unbelievable production. Like from a behind the scenes perspective, like it was like a full, 4 days worth of like different things going on, and with Levon and Dennis and Gary Goodrich and all those folks there was so much going on. Great experience. So as far as match recap, I'm gonna kind of let that up to you. Which ones do you want to go over, or which ones do you want any
Yeah.
backstage info on?
Yeah, starting off with your match, it was amazing. And I have one question for you before we get into the match details and breakdown. Like, don't you get mad at me when I predict you to lose every time and every time you win? Because I've seen some arm wrestlers do get mad at me when I predict them to lose, or even when I predict their friends, their buddies to lose, they still get mad at me sometimes.
Uh, I want you to do that. Please continue to do that. That stuff helps me.
Yeah,
It really does. Like when I say like I want to be the underdog, that's not like
yeah,
me just saying something to say it
yeah.
because it sounds good. I perform better when I'm expected to lose.
So
I perform. It's a less pressure situation. It's a more of an opportunity to prove yourself rather than worry about being proven wrong. So
mhm.
I welcome that.
Yep. So talking about your match, like you mentioned that you had already pulled with him. Was it an official tournament match or it was just a
No,
practice table match?
no, and I'll let you know. I'll be very transparent now that we're past the match and everything. Um, the whole backstory on that was very simple. There's a lot of Georgians in the Northeast. A lot of them stay in New York City, and then they come over with visas. Rackley has had a visa and come over for several months. In fact, he's planning on coming again. Hopefully, Sir Abin, the beat, they're all going to come at some point once their visas are approved. There's a huge Georgian community in New York, and I'm blessed to be friends with these guys. And when we host tournaments, they come. Emo and Zaza and Goga, and there's a bunch of them. So we had the Keystone State Championship, not this year, but the year prior. And he came and we were doing a promotion at the time. This was when WAL was talking about coming back. Rob Vigent had come up with this idea doing this cock of the walk thing where we have like 4 tournaments and whoever wins the 210 or 220 pound class, they get into a pool and they get the opportunity to be in a round robin with Rob Vigent. So Rackley was excited about that, and he came and he won the 220s both right and left. Now it was my tournament, so I was reffing and I was promoting and do all that, running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And after he got done pulling, one of his buddies came and grabbed me and said, "I want you to come pull with the Rackley." And we go all the way far, far away to some far table where nobody's around. There's no cameras, and we pulled there, and I felt really, really comfortable. And afterwards, he was kind of just like, "I want a super match with you. I'm tired from the tournament. I'm not in good shape. I'm gonna beat you in a super match one day." I said, "Okay, maybe one day that'll happen." So fast forward to this, and with this opportunity coming up, I believe he reached out to Engin and said, "This is what I want to pull. Can you make it happen?" And Engin messaged me, and I said, "Absolutely, like sure." And then that's what brought us to here. So my assumption was everything that he was telling me was true, and he wasn't in good shape, and he had just pulled the tournament, but I wasn't peaking for anything either. So I was like, okay, I mean, there can't be that much of a difference, you know. So, but I treated it like I was going to get the world championship version of them in preparation. But honestly, that is kind of how I expected the match to go.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about the prediction of this match, I had these thoughts in my mind. Like, first of all, it was Irakli tired or was Paul tired? Maybe Irakli was tired more before they actually pulled. And second of all, like, why is he asking for a super match? Maybe he knows something. Like, you got beat by someone, like, without actually changing something, without actually knowing something. If I were in his situation, I wouldn't want that match again with you unless, like, I'm 100% sure that I'm going to beat you, because there is no benefit, even to yourself, even to your mindset, if you lose to that guy, the same guy, after preparing and after calling him out once again. Like, it must have hurt his mind quite a bit. So this is why I thought maybe he knows something that we don't know,
Yeah,
that maybe even Paul doesn't know. That is why
yeah.
I predicted
No,
him to win.
I was thinking the same thing. We were on the live stream with Engin, and he's telling Engin, "I'm going to beat this guy 100%." And Engin's like, "Why?" You know what I mean? And he's like, "Because I know. When I know that," he basically said this, "I know when I'm going to beat somebody, and I know that I'm going to beat this guy." And then he referenced into like a WAF tournament where he was in a bracket with Prudnik and said, "I can't beat Prudnik. As long as I don't get Prudnik, I'm going to win this. I'm going to win. I'm going to win this title." And Prudnik winds up getting eliminated before him. And he's like, I knew I was going to win this.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't even know how that adds up. I don't really know what that means, but I'm going to take this as he knows some super magical thing that I don't know. And I'm going to have to come in the absolute best form possible so that I can disprove whatever,
Yeah.
whatever, psychic ability he has or whatever. So yeah, he definitely had me questioning. I'm like, maybe he knows something I don't know. These Europeans are smarter than us, I guess. So I'll take him at his word.
So if we try to compare your opponents, both of them at East versus West, Irakli is a countryman that you beat prior to this event. David Samushia, like, who felt stronger to you? Of course, if we just look at the match, that match was very, very tough for you, and this one was quite easy. So Samushia was, yeah.
Yeah, like not even close. So what I felt from difference between Irakli and Samusha was explosiveness. Irakli very explosively hit supination. So Musha was more of a static, you know what I mean? Where Irakli was violently initiating the hook, and he was faster. But when it comes to like, being deep in there, comparing the two, Samusha had way better stopping power. And it was, and that's part of the reason why stylistically, like Irakli, when he goes to finish a hook, he finishes with drag and openness. Similar to the way I pull, where Samusha is more of that structure, elbow driven side
Yeah.
pressure hooker, which is not what I am. So, like, to me, I'm like, okay, the Rackley match has to be more beneficial to me, because if we both turn onto our bicep, I got to believe I'm stronger there. Where Samusha is more like he's sitting on his elbow and shoulder. To me, he also had much better stopping power at the bottom, I think. So I know Samusha now competing at 87, and he was a little bit bigger when he pulled me, but I can't believe he dropped off much power. Like, I really don't think there's a whole lot of difference between those weights, and seeing him compete again against Daniel Prokopchuk, that was an amazing match. That was an amazing match. And I mean, it was amazing because I actually thought Samusha was going to win easier. But no, I think I can't see a world where Devit wouldn't beat Irakli. And speaking to Goga Ubilava is Georgian, who now lives in DC, and I train with him in Maryland quite often. He speaks so highly of Devit in that, like, if Devit continues to train, like, nobody's going to beat him at that weight. Like, nobody, like, up into the 95s. Like, he's still just getting back to that form, and his ceiling's so high. So I think pound for pound, he might be the best of the whole group.
And in the first round, it was not like that. When Daniel Prokopchuk beat him in the first round, I thought,
Yeah,
man, it was over. Like he top rolled
that's
him.
a weird match. Daniel sit like on the go. He loads up and he sets his pronator, and then he just stops and
Yeah,
he lets you cup on it. He he
yeah,
let he let the V just continue to cup until his cup failed, and then he toppled.
yeah.
I've never seen it really. I've never seen someone just put their arm straight up and down, lock their pronator, and just sit there until your cup dies.
Yeah.
I was like, at that point, I was thinking, oh man, the V's in trouble. What a
Daniel
match!
Prokopchuk is awesome. He's always laughing. He's always having fun. And with the right arm, he sets up like a traditional arm wrestler. Have you seen him set up with the left arm? How he stands at the table? He's just so far away from the table, and he puts his elbow
Yep.
like this. Like he literally
Yeah.
just sets up like this with the left arm
Yep.
and beats everyone like this. And his
You
left
know
is
how
even stronger.
confident you have to be. You know how confident you have to be in your side pressure to just put your arm out and say go.
Yeah. When I
Yeah.
watched him for the first time, I was like, man, he's going to change some setup. He's like just relaxing before the ref says go. And no, he literally starts like that with the with the left arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Artem top roll his after pull with him, and Artem's really good right now. And Artem's probably 205, 210. I mean, it was just so impressive. And Artem's style is really set up to kind of offset what Daniel does. And I mean, he still just kind of held him and gassed him out. Unreal. And how small he is. I mean, that
Yeah.
guy's little.
Yeah.
He's really little.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, that was a great
So,
one.
what about your next match? Is that confirmed against Rostam Babayev for East versus West 6?
Not confirmed. So there's a lot of talk about who's getting who next. And I think Ingen probably has some decisions to make.
Yeah.
A lot of people on social media are talking about Zurab and I.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I think Zurab might be looking for someone else
Okay.
that's yet to be determined for this upcoming one. So I think Ingen is going to pursue the Rustam match. We won't know
Yeah.
until it becomes official,
I think
and
he
then maybe
almost not confirmed it, but almost kind of announced it in his yesterday's live stream that he's thinking
yeah,
about making this match happen. How do you see your
yeah.
chances against Rostam?
I get to be the underdog again.
Yeah.
Yay! I'm
This
good with
time,
it. No,
Paul, let me see because Rustam has already started training, and he did mention that he didn't pull for almost a couple of years. He didn't practice,
mhm,
and now he has. I think he's in England right now. I saw
mhm.
a few practice pulls
He's with
on
Paul
arm
Major
wrestling.
and those guys over there.
Yeah, arm
He's
wrestling
with
God's
Paul
channel.
Major.
Even like now he'll still get about 2 3 months to prepare at least, and
Yes.
3 months,
I know,
it is going to be, it can be a bad day for you,
I
man.
know. It can be really bad. I know that. I know that. But I welcome that. Like again, if this is like you gotta like if you put yourself in my shoes and just look objectively, like if somebody offers you, they say, hey, you know what? You're doing pretty good, and John Brzenk's making a comeback. We want you to pull John Brzenk. You don't really pause and think about it too much. You just say, okay, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm gonna play 1-on-1 with Michael Jordan. I'm probably gonna lose, but maybe I can score once or twice. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or maybe I can catch him on a bad day and have some success.
Yeah.
It's very similar with Rustam. Anybody who knows arm wrestling knows how good Rustam is.
Yeah.
And I will get plenty of, the polls are going to have me as a drastic underdog, which is exactly what I want. So to me, those are like no lose situations. If I can just go and prepare to the best of my ability, bring my peaked best version of myself, and then leave it all on the table, there's no losing.
Yeah.
So the difference is I'm being offered the match. I'm not seeking it out.
Hmm.
If I were seeking it out, I would feel dirty. I would feel like, that's a Ryan Bowen thing. Ryan and I don't see eye to eye on that stuff. But if somebody's offering me that match and saying, okay, we think you have, whatever will warrant this match. If somebody else is seeing it and offering it to me, I'll accept it, but I would never go chase
Yeah, and your hook is getting really, really good. The even the matches that you have lost against John Brzenk, against BJ Fokakis, both of them were really, really close, good matches. Let's see if you can make it happen like the same way, like give him a really, really tough match. Then it would be awesome, whether you win or lose. And speaking of
it.
Ryan Bowen, how did he change sides? Like last time he was West, this time he was Team East or something. Like he was wearing that.
I don't know what he was last time. Was he East
Yeah.
last time? Because
No,
he was
West for
West.
sure. West for sure. But this time
Yeah,
he
he was
was
West.
East. Like you guys requested Engin to get him out of your team.
No, he was West. He had a red shirt on. He was with us.
This time?
Yeah, you're probably confused because he was cornering
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Mendoza.
maybe I'm confused. I'm confused.
Yeah, everybody was like, "Dude, what are you doing? Like, you cornering the other side? What's going on here?"
Yeah.
I don't know. Him and
Okay, at that
Mendoza.
time at that time he must have changed the shirt. Like he was wearing a black shirt when he was
Yeah,
cornering the East. Right.
yeah. Who knows? You know how Ryan is. Him and Mendoza are friends though, but yeah, yeah, yeah. He was on the West. He was on the West. So we got credited with his loss.
Yeah. So the next match, let's see what was the interesting match. John Brzenk, Oleg Petrenko.
Unreal, unreal. I spent my time for that match at the front of the stage, kneeling down like a little kid, yelling and pounding on the floor.
Hmm.
What a match! John is unreal,
Hmm.
and I don't think I don't know what the I know the polls probably had John as a favorite, but I don't think like Engen himself even said
Yeah.
that he expected John to lose. I was worried. Oleg came in looking like a tank, like a tank. Like in person, he looked unreal. Um, and even in like the first round, it was hairy. But once you saw John being comfortable with his wrist a little open and setting that legendary pronation, you could see with every few seconds that go by, John got more comfortable and more comfortable. And by the third round, I genuinely think he was just playing around.
Yeah.
It's unreal. Like his arms down there and he's sitting on his pronator. He's waiting, waiting, waiting before he transitions his shoulder back. Like I think he could have done it way before. The
Yeah.
guy's just, I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is. To
Yeah.
see him continue to win on those stages. And what's funny, and like Engen, I think, said it was um that match was probably where the energy was the most high. It was
In
electric in there
yeah,
during
in
that match. And
audience.
it's crazy because like John requested to be in the middle of the event so he could enjoy the rest. Because by the end of the event, John's sitting and kneeling at the front of the stage with me. Like during the Devon match, we're sitting right underneath the camera, you know. And I think he desperately just wanted to be a part of enjoying those other matches, like
Yeah.
the Dave and Herman match. So in any other card ever, that would have been what we would have ended on. And in this card, it was the ninth match.
And
Unreal.
I think what got him even mad was the refing at the start. John was not happy. And we can clearly see it. Oleg Petrenko, he like falls started a couple of times in referee's grip a second earlier. It was not like very close, at least a
Yeah.
second earlier. And John was really mad after that. He was not getting a foul or anything. That is why we saw in the second round John was just holding him, and John started trash talking during the match. That was amazing
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah. So the main reason I came to the front of the stage was because perpetually we've had an issue now with the hands being centered. And that's of no one's fault. It's because the down ref has to be angled so the camera has a view of the match.
Hmm.
So when the down ref's angled, there's no possible way for him to have the perspective to know if the hands are centered at the go or not.
Yeah.
And as an up ref, from doing it, from my experience, it's very hard to set and make sure elbows, you have your 30 things you're looking for.
Hmm.
And then you got guys loading and the hands moving like this. It is very hard to set and start a match in the center of the table as an up ref without the help of the down ref saying, this way, this way. Without that, it's really, really hard. So I just take it upon myself to sit right there and line myself up with the two pegs and just yell the whole time. So I'm saying, got to go towards John. He's loading. They're all center again. I just didn't shut my mouth the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think John was definitely frustrated because you had last second loads and last second supination. Like you saw a ton of supination. Oleg was forcing supination in the setup. I would not have traded positions in life with those referees for the world on that day. Never. That is a totally impossible job.
Yeah. The
So
event
yeah.
was absolutely perfect, but the only thing that I didn't like about this event was that the referee's grip was just an imaginary concept. It was a fiction. It was not followed even in a single match. Everyone, literally everyone moved inside the referee's grip, and I didn't even see even a single foul in the entire card.
All right. So my turn to ask you a question.
Yeah.
And because I like the way that you just say things and leave
Yeah.
emotion out of it, you're just objective. So in that instance, like when we're talking specifically about referees grip, um, how like if you put yourself in the shoes of the referees or the people setting the rules, what would you have changed on how referees grip should be handled?
I think it would have depended on the only on the first match. Like the referees need to show themselves like what they are going to do to set an example. Whatever they did in the first match would have been followed till the end. Like by the time the fourth, fifth, sixth match ended, as like Devon versus Prudnik is going to be a nightmare. There is absolutely no way that Devon isn't watching these matches, and there is absolutely no way that he or Prudnik hasn't already decided that they are going to move in the referee's grip because the other person is also going to do that. So I think just a foul or two in the first match or two, like a little bit movement is okay. Like sometimes the athletes forget this time this arm is on the table, referee's grip. Sometimes they lift the other arm, sometimes they want to check the strap. That much, if it is a mistake, it should be okay. But if they're curling in and moving, like literally shaking and moving a couple of seconds before the go, then it should have been a foul.
Yeah. So I tend to agree with you. And like you said,
Or
there
just
has to
remove that,
be.
or just remove that concept of referee's grip. Just mention that referee's grip is only to for us to close your fingers and close your thumb. That's all it means. We're not going to foul. Because if you say that moving in referee's grip is a foul and you do not follow it clearly when somebody is going, like Oleg Petrenko was going a couple of seconds before the go, and many other examples like that, and still you're not fouling, then you're just
So
disrespecting the rules that you have said yourself that you're going to follow.
so if there's no threat of a foul, there's no control
Yep,
ever.
exactly. That's
So
exactly what
like
happened.
everyone is at arm wrestling's IQ is through the roof. Everyone's static strength is through the roof. Without a threat of a foul, there is no way to stop these guys from. So what'll happen is if one person adds any type of pressure, the other person either complains about it and gets it enforced or has to match it. And the minute that it has to be matched, you're now entering a world of pre-arm wrestling, which number one, depending on your style personally, can be really detrimental to you. Because if you're up there for 30 seconds loading back pressure, you might as well have arm wrestled 3 matches. It
Yeah.
is hugely detrimental to your gas tank. So in my opinion, it's not necessarily about calling the fouls, but the threat of calling the fouls.
Yeah.
So like you said, early on in the event, if the level was set like, okay, this is what's going to be, because we had a warning to give too. Um, I think my concern was, and I'm going back because I'm cornering Justin Bishop in the Dallas match, and that's where I saw that was my first really dug in glimpse of what was going on in rest grip and what was going to be accepted. Mindaugas had his elbow off the pad, I don't know, 40 times in rest grip. And it wasn't just off. If this is the pad, Mindaugas was up here. And this is like when the strap's being put on. This
Yeah.
is when we're in rest grip.
In ref
It was
script.
forward, it was up. And I'm not taking anything away from Mindaugas. I think he's a phenomenal arm wrestler. And his ability to know when to do that and to redirect the referees, redirect their attention so that he could, is what makes him great. But it's still, we're in the rest grip and you haven't had your elbow down all day. And there was a point where I don't even know if you can hear it on the camera, but I'm yelling. I'm in the corner. I'm like, his elbow's up. His elbow's up. His elbow's up 3 inches. His elbow's up 3 inches. Cobra's in the crowd. Cobra's, how many inches is his elbow up? I'm like, 3 inches. They're not going to call it. At that point, I realized that that was going to be the standard. And the good thing is that standard was kept. Now,
Yeah.
if we were to go to like match 6 or 7 and now they start fouling it, now we have a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
So they did set the standard that it was going to be loose. You know, it was just kind of sucks for Justin in that early match because he's feeling it out as the standards being set.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like personally, if you have a warning to give, and the first time you do rest grip, and let's say you're putting a strap on the rest grip, somebody moves, warning right away.
Yeah.
Don't do it again, or I'm going to foul you. Do it again, foul. That's not ending the match,
Yeah.
but that's putting them at a deficit. Maybe now I don't want to give the second foul because I want to see arm wrestling, but I put you at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
I would kind of like that threat, but only for the egregious things. But again, just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, it can be a good solution. If you do not want to foul out people in referee's grip, then introduce the warning system in that thing as well. Like referee's grip from now on, also you will get one warning, and then if you move again, then it will be a foul. It can be solution. It will extend the duration of a match. Yeah.
Yeah, we had that. So we had warning on false start and warning on moving and rescue.
I
So
think
that was
Paul. I think in arm wrestling, from what I've seen, the false start warning, it is the dumbest rule that I've ever seen in any sport. The referee is about to say go and you false start. It doesn't matter if you go 1 second before or 5 seconds before even the referee starts thinking about going. It is a warning. That is one of the dumbest rule. Like you just get to open up your opponent's arm for
yeah,
once, his wrist for free. It is absolutely
I
free. You
know.
don't even get a foul. Why are you
I
not
kind of
going to
love
do
it.
that? Why are you
I
not going
kind
to
of
do?
love it. I kind of love it because it is like it's like that sucker punch. You
Yeah.
get like a free sucker punch, and
Yeah.
nobody uses it. No, like only
Absolutely.
1 or 2 guys
I
use
don't
it.
even compete, Paul. I don't even compete. And I constantly think in my mind every time, like whenever I'm going to go into a super match, there is absolutely no way that I'm not false starting every single round,
Yeah,
every single round. And I'm going to do that twice. I'm going to just get the warning first, then do it once again, get the first foul, and he's open up his arm a couple of times. And I'm going to do that in every single round. So
yeah.
by the time I'm
I'm
in
gonna
the
start
sixth
doing
round,
it.
I've already opened his arm like 12 times.
I'm gonna
Without
start doing it. I'm gonna start doing it just because we had this conversation. If I'm gonna go inside, I am going to hit 100 miles an hour outside and then go inside next time.
Yeah. You like that rule? That is a separate thing. But don't you think that that is kind of a dumb rule to have?
I do. You know what though? Like when both people are loading and everybody's so worried about getting to go, it does suck that like if you go like a tenth of a second early that you get a foul because now you have now on after that one foul now you're immediately defensive. So in a way, I either like a third foul or a warning just so that you're not afraid to go. You know what I mean? So I understand why it's there, but you're right. Like I'm a dumb for not taking advantage of that more. I need to start doing that.
Yeah. What if everyone starts to do that? Then I think they may have to change this rule. But let's keep it a
Yeah.
secret. Let's keep it a secret between us two.
Yeah. Let me try it
Yeah.
a few times before you make
Man,
the change.
in many other sports, Paul, like swimming or sprinting and big sports, false start is a straightaway loss, like not even a
Yeah.
foul. It is a loss. Come back 4 years later, next Olympics, lost. You have lost. And there
Yeah.
was this female sprinter. I forgot her name. Her natural reaction, like her reaction time, is absolutely fast. I think the allowance in the Olympics is like 0.09 or 0.12 seconds, something like that.
Hmm.
Like human brain cannot react faster than that. So even after the gunshot, you move, let's say 0.08 seconds after the gunshot. You may have heard
Hmm.
it and you went. You're still going to lose. You're disqualified. Human brain cannot act that fast. And there was this one women sprinter. Her reaction times were always on the borderline. If it is 0.11, she's like 0.12, 0.13. And once she got 0.09 and she won, like she would have won that race, she was disqualified just because of that. And she was like, that is my natural reaction time.
That's like a genetic gift.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny when you apply that to arm wrestling? We always talk about it. Like everybody says fast, right? Oh, he's so fast. He's so fast.
Reaction
No,
time, most of it.
there's timing and then there's speed.
Yeah.
And like the guys that you first people you think about like fast, Travis Bagent, he's not fast. He's got timing.
Yeah.
He's got timing. He's not necessarily that explosive. He times the go. Same like Daniel Mosier. Like, I mean, those are the American pullers that we think of that way. Those are the examples of timing. They just can time things up. And I do think that that's not really something you can work on. You kind of got that or you don't, you know?
Yeah. There are some exercises to that, like I've seen, like your coach has two tennis balls and like you have to catch one, which one he drops, like multiple exercises, like somewhat like,
Drop the ruler and catch it. Drop the ruler and catch it. You know
yeah.
what I mean? But
Yeah.
can you get better or are you just testing what you already do? You know?
I don't know
People
it.
set the ready go up. Like you might be able to work on your timing a little bit, but if you're not fast twitch dominant, you're just not.
Yeah. And this is why there's one more reason that I do not like people moving so much in the referee's grip, because this timing is also a skill. And when you move
Yeah,
a couple of seconds before the go, even in a referee's grip, that skill is absolutely taken away. Like it has zero value after that.
right. Well,
So
there's another piece to the rest script too. Is like if you know, like we see so many rest script where it's everyone is totally calm and like everything's relaxed. That's where you see people flashed. There's also a skill to being able to statically load without actually moving your arm or hand. And John is a master of that. After gripping up with John, like you will feel nothing until like 2/10 of a second before the match, before the go, and then you feel everything in his body lock up. I think that's something you definitely can develop because you see John as a reactive puller. He'll pull, he does it. He very rarely hits the go, but what like is at the go, everything's locked in.
yep. We're not going to talk about this match. I was looking for Adam
That was a really
Wodzinski,
good.
the
That was
Adam
actually a really
Wodzinski
good
match.
match, though. I didn't really know much about Kalashnikov,
Okay.
um, but that was I enjoyed that match because that was prior to me going backstage and it was right before, and I kind of got hung up watching it. The two top rolls in round 1 and 2, and everybody's like, "It's over, it's over." I'm like,
Mm,
"No, Gurgi just gotta hook him, just catch him." And
yeah.
then when he caught him, and he almost got pinned like 2 surges, and then brought him back. I'm like, the match is over.
Yeah.
It's over right here. It's 2-1. I had to keep watching though to see if Kalashnikov was going to be able to get the top roll again or not, but no. And that's a classic, like an adjustment battle,
Yeah.
like being able to find where in the setup what works, and then being able to have the option to go somewhere else. I thought it was a great match, and like Sergey, I didn't really know much about him, but he's a cool ass dude. You
Yeah.
know, he's funny, he's got energy, and he's clearly has an amazing top.
Yeah.
And I didn't know his whole backstory of how much you know about him.
A little bit. The first time I got to know about him was in Zloty 2019 when he broke his arm. He broke his
Yes,
um,
and
and
I didn't put that together until I was talking to Artem at the event.
yeah. And after that, that funny viral moment where he showed up in a gorilla suit, arm wrestling
Yeah.
everyone. I just a couple of things like that, and I interviewed him. I actually interviewed him. There is an
Okay.
interview, so I asked a lot of things. Of course, I asked everything during that interview, but I don't remember much now.
Well, I guess like Artem said, he'd been arm wrestling since he was a very young kid.
Yeah,
But he never, I guess, I don't know if it took him a long time to get good or what, but he didn't have like really any accolades. Like that, normally you hear like, oh, junior world champion
yeah,
and then European champion and then world champion. He
yeah,
didn't have those accolades. And then he broke his arm in slot. He was in the finals.
yeah,
So he went the whole way, not having these accolades. He goes to Zloty. He's in the finals undefeated and breaks his arm. And now
yeah,
he comes back out of nowhere and he's clearly competing at a super elite level,
yeah.
which it's to me, it's an interesting story that we rarely see out of the East.
Hmm.
Normally you see, all right, they started when they were 12, they won a junior worlds, they won 12 Europeans, they won 6 worlds, and
Yeah.
now they're here. So I thought it was interesting. Plus he's a
So
cool dude.
so when I asked him about like his biggest matches, and he was like aware of the situation, he was like, yeah, I do not have those wins, but sometimes like after a tournament or during a tournament, if my opponent had a bad match or during practice matches, like I have had those pins against Rostam Babayev, against, I think he even mentioned Evgeny Prudnik as well. So he
Mhm.
did tell me that he has those multiple practice match wins. He knows it doesn't matter much, but he thinks that he can do that in real super matches as well now that
Yeah.
he's that much trained.
I did a video. The only video I did was before the press conference. I went around and interviewed everybody, and I talked to him about it. And he said basically like, this is the biggest match of my life. And at that point, I didn't know the backstory and everything. So this is the biggest match of my life. I need to win this. This is going to put me on on the stage. So he was very clear about it. Like he saw that like this was his moment. And even though he lost, I still thought I
Yeah.
thought it was a great performance.
And he cares for the social media part as well. Like he's willing to
Mm-hmm.
do interviews. He's willing to show up in a gorilla suit, a monkey suit.
Yeah.
He's willing to draw a drawing and call out my Matt Mask even before his
Yeah.
match.
I
Yeah.
was sitting right by it. I was sitting right by it. He had the Charles Bronson thing on, and
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. I think we need more of that
Yeah.
out of the East.
Yeah. It,
All
it, it was
American.
clearly like you can tell it wasn't his natural personality like that. Maybe he was trying to do something, but which is awesome, which is
Well,
absolutely
I mean,
awesome.
being around him in person,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's his natural personality, but he's a little goofy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I think his natural personality is life like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how hard he's trying to be that. I mean, whenever you come up with ideas and you wear a different outfit or whatever, you're definitely trying. But
Yeah.
I don't think it was outside of his personality.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you see people that are just forcing it, and you're like, it's weird because you're forcing it.
Yeah.
I didn't get that vibe.
I don't think forcing something is a bad thing. Like Devon was never this trash talker. Even during WL times, you can see when Devon wins something and that lady is interviewing Devon, he still felt kind of nervous giving those interviews when he won those matches. You can watch any of the Devon older interviews. He was still kind of nervous speaking in front of the camera. He was natural, never that natural trash talker. And now look at Devon, how confident he is.
Well, I think Devin sees that as a part of his progression,
Yeah,
and like he even made mention to that in the press conference. He was like, hey, you're going to see my final form. I'm going to be a homeless guy. He said that prior to the press conference. Like he's walking around the hotel barefoot and everything. And like, it's where he's kind of like going in his journey of life, I think.
yeah,
Like you're spot on because he wasn't the heel. He never was the heel. He was a good guy for a long time, and I think he's just kind of embracing the progression.
yeah,
It's funny, man. Like
yeah.
Jody was talking to my wife, and they were having some drinks and having some laughs, and she was like, "Look at Devin's feet right now." And he's wearing two different shoes, not two different color shoes, not two different color size. He has two totally different shoes on right now, arm wrestling at Prudnik. And she told him he had to wear shoes like to the event or something. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. So, Paul, next super match that we are going to talk about is Dave Chaffee versus Hermes Gasparini. Wow, that was an amazing, amazing display of strength and calmness, composure, and technicality from Hermes. What do you think about this match?
Unbelievable. I mean, I cornered Dave um, and just about everybody from the West. So first off, let me just say this about what Engen's doing. And I mean, I can't say this enough. I can't say it enough. There is nothing like this in the sport where you bring together arm wrestlers and they compete as a team. I've never, ever, ever been felt like I am so close back to a team sport than at these events. So when Dave's getting into the later rounds, damn near every Western arm wrestler came up to give advice or support or positive energy. We just don't feel that in this sport. It's individual. We all have teams, we all train together, but then we all go compete individually. We support each other, but very rarely do you get in an instance where, you know, John or Devon's competing and they got the whole team just yelling, and you know what I mean? So the environment was absolutely incredible. And I really feel like this match peaked it, kind of, because I think everybody was really pulling for Dave in this and wanting to be able to do anything they could to help affect, you know, that match. But I tell you, there's from cornering him, I was moving from the center stage to look at the centering of the hands, to back up to the corner to rub his arm out and everything. I do think that there's lanes where Dave could have won that match. But Ernie's, man, incredible patience in compromised situations. I think there were some instances where if Dave was more patient, Dave would have gotten, you know, some pins early. There's just you could probably break that match down for days. But there were adjustments made, and I tell you, Ermey's coming into that match. You know, I talked to him the day before. I talked to him the day of, and it did not feel like, Justin and I both said, like, after talking to him, it did not feel like he was confident. Like he didn't feel like, it was more like, let's see how it goes. You know what I mean? And to see him then maybe have that lack of confidence, but then go up there on that stage and actually overcome it was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I will say this, and I don't know how much anybody knows, Dave, something happened to Dave in the first round. Something happened to his sternum. He had some type of pop in his rib cage. Like right after that first one, I'm like, is there anything I can do? Does it need rubbed? Is it your pec? What is it? He said, I don't know, something in my rib cage popped. So I don't know if that started to play into his head or not, but man, what a match. And very rarely do you see a match that's pseudo one-sided like that, where both people have left it all on the table and are totally gassed. Like
Yeah.
Dave left it all on the table.
Yeah.
So there's I mean, it's hard to be proud in the loss, but he should be proud in the loss, in my opinion. Because he definitely, it wasn't one of those things where he gassed out or gave up or anything like that. He battled to the very end.
Yeah, he tried the press as well, but it didn't work. And although Hermes won 3 pins to 0, but the match was like, I wouldn't say it was really close, but the margin for error for Hermes Gasparini was like slim to none. Like he couldn't have made any error, and he actually didn't make any error. This is why I said that it was a very good display of calmness and composure during a match, because he knew that he didn't have much pronation, but his wrist was kind of flat. It wasn't backwards. A slight pronation. He was in this position and he just waited for Dave Chaffee to gas out a little bit, and then he did his surges, and it was just absolutely amazing. There was absolutely no margin for error for Hermes, and he did show that he is really good technically as well.
Well, that was another match where there were some things that were kind of getting missed too. And then we had that long discussion about the pin that got called back. You know, that was and you know, Dave is not like a tough person to ref, really. He's really not doing too much. Like he could be doing a whole lot more to gain a lot more. And I don't even know really how that discussion, like I don't even remember the total scenario, but Dave did get that pin. And if I remember correctly, it was on a surge and then an adjustment. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pradeep, because you watched it from a better angle than me, probably. But like early on, Dave was committing so hard, you know, and I do it. I do this all the time. When I feel like, all right, we're getting close to that pin line, I go under the table, and then before you know it, I'm like, yeah, you know. And I think Devon was the one that was saying, like, hit halfway, come back. You know what I mean? And I think he got the pin on that. But I don't know. I think it was maybe a foul on Hermes. I don't know what happened.
No, I don't
But
think it was a foul. When that thing happened, I don't remember whether he did it in single surge or he kind of stood up and did it again.
yeah,
But one thing that I remember, as soon as that round was called, I was doing live commentary and my immediate reaction was, that is not a pin. This is what I said, and
Okay.
the reason for that was I think Hermes Gasparini's hand touched the peg, not his hand. I think it was about here where he touched the
Uh,
peg, but his entire like from wrist and above, it was maybe an inch above
so
the pad.
was that the call? Was that the
Yeah,
call?
yeah,
Because I
that's
remember just I'm talking to somebody, I'm going to Dave, and then they called, and Dave was like, "Oh, they're gonna call it back or whatever,"
yeah.
and I wasn't paying attention to what was said.
Yeah. So I was absolutely surprised like how they gave it a pin because I think his hand touched but about here. The hand above this, the entire part about this, it was above the pad. I think that is why they reversed the pin. So and I was like I was really laughing because they wanted to reset the strap in that second round after a foul or something, and Hermes was like, no, Dave, come back, referee's grip, come back. So Dave was telling, I'm not feeling comfortable, just take it off. And the referee was about to take it off, and that once again, referee's grip, and if the athlete is asking, referee is willing to take off the strap. I'm like, what is happening? And Hermes was like, no, referee's grip. Put your elbow down. Put your elbow down. And then he almost got pinned. And I was like, "What have you done, Hermes?" maybe
Yeah,
it would have been different if the referee resetted the strap, but he didn't
yeah,
let him do that.
yeah.
But
You talk about it like a 3-0 match being close. That's about as close as it can be.
yeah,
But you know what? And you know, in hindsight too, like we talked about the success that Dave had with Vitali on the flop. Um, and that was such a gutsy performance. But Vitali's arm was like twice as long as Ernie's. It's very hard to flop wrist press that short arm with all that back pressure. So I mean, it's one of those things. Hindsight being 2020. Maybe if he didn't, maybe if he hadn't attempted the flop wrist early, the later rounds could have been better. Because once you go ahead and let that wrist go, and you're
yeah.
doing all this, like there's miles being put on your hand and fingers.
Mhm.
You know.
I think I talked with you as well on this topic and someone else from the day Dave Chaffee beat Vitaly Leletin. There was comments about this flop press, new flop press that Dave Chaffee has, and I wrote it everywhere. I talked about it in my videos. Like there is absolutely no chance that Hermes can get like
Yeah.
flop pressed by Dave. It is just absolutely not happening. Maybe only
Yeah.
Jerry is the one in this world who can do that to Hermes, but absolutely no one else because he
Well,
has
but
that like weird strong side
Vitaly,
pressure in this pronation.
that's the disadvantage of having a long lever. Somebody who's coming down on
Yeah.
it. And Vitaly, unlike Hermes, is a pivoting up pressure. So
Yeah.
like his move is up off his elbow and tricep, where Hermes is more rowing back pressure. And with that elbow being further back and that lever being short, that's really, really hard to flop, just anatomically,
Yeah.
from an angles perspective.
Mhm. And I was literally charged up during that match commentary, and because Hermes Gasparini is like my favorite arm wrestler out of them all, just because he's
Mhm.
like really funny off the table and aggressive on the table. You'll never see him
Mhm.
laugh or having fun. Like he's always angry and mad when he's at the table. So I was really excited during that commentary, and Isa told me actually that Hermes did watch my commentary after he won that match, and he was literally enjoying and laughing. He told me that it was so loud when Hermes was laughing watching my commentary that the neighbors came and like, what is happening? You need to calm down.
Now
and
I'm gonna have to watch
and
that.
he
I'm
was
gonna have to
like,
watch 6 hours, 6 hours of the actual stream, and I have to watch 6 hours of
yeah.
yours.
So Hermes watched my prediction video that I made, and the thumbnail of my prediction video was 3 Hermes, 0 Dave Chaffee, and I've been saying that for like almost a month since that match got announced. And people usually when the prediction goes wrong, people would come back to that video and say this didn't age well, this aged like a milk. And when the prediction goes right, I went back to that video and zero comments, like this aged well, absolutely zero comments. I predicted exactly not only the score but how the match is going to go round by round. I predicted exactly like that, and Hermes was like, Pradeep is a smart guy, he does good he does good predictions.
Everybody's smart when they get it right.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, you wouldn't have said it like if I predicted you to lose and you actually lost that match. But anyways, it was amazing.
Now, what else we want to talk about?
One final match, the main event that we need to talk about for sure. Just wait a second. So Devon Larratt versus Evgeny Prodnik. Like I think you messaged me, you had seen that practice pull footage, and you told me that Devon is going to kill him or something like that, and he did exactly that. So what are your thoughts about the match?
Well, I didn't predict it like you predict Hermes and Dave. Out of like you probably got that from the astrology of the stars. I had the data. So yeah, no, I saw the pool, and then like I talked to these guys a little bit, and when Devon's confident to the point where he's telling Michael Todd that hey, you're gonna kill this guy. You know what I mean? If I can Kings move him, you're gonna Kings move him through the roof. That to me, that's good enough. I mean, Devon knows he knows that he knows what he knows. So even on short notice, and to be honest with you, like in hindsight, like the head game stuff, I don't even know. Like Engen was saying, who's winning, and I'm like, well, nobody beats Devon in that stuff. But in hindsight, Prudnick might have kind of got to him a little bit, but it didn't really matter. And during the event, like you said, like all right, we're seeing that these ref script, the way things are being handled. Yeah, Devon's walking around like I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking what this is perfect. You know what I mean? And it really played out the way we expected. Although Prudnick had some deep surges, some really deep surges. Like there were some windows there where he might have gotten. There might have been a chance for him to get that. Um, there might have been a scenario for him to get that first round pin. But man, Devon, he's talking in the middle of the match, and Jody's going off. It was just the energy for that one was really good too. We're all down at the front of the stage, and again, I think that's really the thing that differentiates East versus West and everything else. Like, not only are you there as an arm wrestler, but you're there as a teammate and as a fan too. And it's fun to be able to get back into that and that pure energy, you
Yeah.
know, where it was different, and like it was electric. It was electric in there. And to me, the highlight of the entire match was after the first round, where Jody and Devon go over to his corner, and Devon sits on the side of his chair and pulls a water out of his bag and starts drinking it, and then offers it to him. I'm like, here we are in the middle of a world championship match, and these two find a way to actually make it look like stand-up comedy. That's what makes Devon special, though. In that moment, in the heat of the battle, he has the charisma and the personality and the wherewithal to be able to go over and add that lightness to the event. Like only certain people can do that. And like when we go back to like talking about like who are the draws and who have to get paid more, that's why Devon has to get paid more. That's why Devon has to be the Floyd Mayweather,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he has that. We all don't have that.
Yeah. And during the first match, the startup of the first match, setup of first match, Devon certainly turned into Matt Mask when it came to cursing. He was cursing the referees, he was cursing Prudnick. And I think the referees kind of deserve that, as we talked about it earlier. What you have followed during the first 14 matches, you cannot suddenly change it in the 15th match. Because Devon was saying that this is a referee's grip. How can he lift his elbow? How can he move? Like, what kind of referee's grip is this? And Devon was absolutely right. But in the referee's mind, it must have been like, well, I haven't fouled anyone yet for moving. Like, I'm not going to foul him now as well. So I think this is
I don't know.
what happened. Why Devon was absolutely pissed off at the referee. But after that, when Devon knew it is kind of okay, he was okay with whatever was happening.
I don't know what was showed on the feed, but Engen came up twice and basically reprimanded both of them. He was basically like, Devon, get off his knuckle, stop pulling back. Evgeny, bring your elbow down, even if you have to pull it down, and let's arm wrestle. He did it like twice. He came up and was just like, enough.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they listened, but he
Yeah,
tried.
and it needed to be done because that would have been chaos otherwise. So starting talking about the first round, I still think I watched it in slow motion and I'm like 95% sure that it was a pin. It wasn't called.
Was it?
Yeah, it was I watched it in slow motion and it was a pin. But it was really close, so it was on Prudnik as well too. He may have contested that, but I don't think he did. But the best it could have done is that it would have been a 3-1 instead of a 3-0.
Right.
But Devon,
So
man,
I
yeah,
think when Devin open top rolled, like the heel of his hand went
yeah,
under.
Yeah,
I
his
I
entire
couldn't.
hand was like this. Like it was as much as you can dump your wrist down. It was like
Yeah.
this. So maybe
So I
the
nothing.
even
Boom.
this part was even lower than this. It was like completely down like this when he slipped like that, like that.
I could see that. I could see that. My perspective was low from like right at the stage level.
Yeah,
There was there was no way I could be a deciding factor on any pins, but I could tell that it was pretty deep for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. So
But again, that doesn't have an impact
yeah,
on
of course,
final.
of course.
It's
So
3-1. It doesn't change it. There's no window for winning.
how easy do you think, Paul, is to hook someone like when you have completely gassed his pronation out like Devon did? And another thing about the refereeing is that Devon was in that decline King's move like for at least 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds. Then the referees immediately realized that it is a foul and they gave a foul to Devon. But he could have done that as many times as he wanted. He could have taken a foul any day and beat Prudnik easily. And this is completely within the rules. So, do you think the hook was as easy as it was for Devon because of the King's move, because of him tiring his wrist out? Like, how do you think the match would have gone
Okay,
if they went deep in the first round? Like
so
immediately, not after Devon taking his wrist and then going back in a hook.
I'm not going to say that Devin couldn't have done it, but Devin's hook is like how we talked about the different styles of hooks, right? Devin's hook is like what I would call that European style hook, meaning it's a structure
Joint
driven.
waist. Yeah.
It's a joint. It's completely joint. And Devin has so much flexibility. Like he can get his shoulder so close to his hand. And I know he got warned for having like his shoulder on his hand. He's so flexible. He doesn't have like a huge bicep to get in the way. When he brings his elbow back and has his shoulder forward, he's like immovable. And if you've
Yeah.
ever like pulled with him, but he has to be in that spot. So in order for him to get to that spot, it's a progression. So there's some this, gas them out. At this point, you basically destroyed your opponent's cup, and now you're transitioning back. And now when you tuck in, they have less wrist flexion,
Yeah.
and you're already back to the back of the pad.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Could he have initiated that on go? The tricky part about hooking, like with your bone structure, is when you want to initiate it, your elbow has to be forward, right? Devin wants it the whole way back
Yeah.
here. I don't know how comfortable he is in his career right now in being that forward hook where his arm's outside of his shoulder. So I think he's being pseudo conservative as to like when can he get there
Yeah.
and when can he sit and wait there, because when they were in there, if you look at his face when Prudnik's surging and arm wrestling in there, you can see on his face that there was stress.
Yeah.
And after the match, he even said like that was like that was like he made mention to like the taxation that it put on his body.
Hmm.
So like people were like, "Oh, it's gonna be 3-0 easy." We can call that 3-0 easy in that he was
Yeah.
never really threatened to lose the match,
Yeah.
but it 100% was not easy on
Hmm.
Devin's body at all.
Yeah. So one thing that I got from that match, and I've mentioned it in a couple of videos already, is that Devon top rolled Prudnik, he kings moved Prudnik, he hooked Prudnik, he pressed Prudnik, he did everything in that match. But it wasn't like he was playing around. He needed all of those moves. Like if he
No,
was,
and it's funny.
yeah, if he
It's
was
funny
missing,
because
if he was missing one of those, he wouldn't have won the match. He needed every single move in almost every single round to beat Prudnik.
well, it's. I said to him after, I was joking. I was like, "Devin, what happened? I thought you were gonna make him pin himself." And he was like, "No." I forget what his exact response was. No, I had to finish those or something like I don't know, like I don't know if it was just that taxing on the body that he felt like he had to finish to be done with it. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask him,
Yeah.
but he didn't really make Prudnik pin himself, which to me is a testament to Prudnik. Like Devin
I think he
definitely
did pin himself in second round. I think it was.
maybe the second,
Yeah.
but not in the end.
Yeah,
Um,
that was different thing. And I wanted to
yeah,
ask you about that. Like, what exactly was that move? Prudnik knew that he's getting top rolled. Prudnik knew that he's getting hooked. He cannot do anything in those two moves. So he like kicked back his wrist and started pushing like this. So Devon was not able to top roll and finish him, and he was not able to hook him as well. And it stayed like there for almost 30, 40 seconds. So what exactly was that?
so we always talk about inversion, like the inversion of your wrist and focusing on pronation is almost like pseudo unhookable, because how do you really hook somebody when they're like this? So I've never seen it in that instance where somebody was hooked and then he just went like this and said, "Now you can't pin it." But I'm only assuming that he's just inverting to take the hook pressure off and just waiting. But yeah, super interesting. You very rarely see that position in that sequence of events.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I thought like Ermi or not Ermi's. What am I saying? I get those two confused. Evgeny, like he showed like an incredible heart
Yeah.
because you could tell after like the first round, like the energy was just not in his favor. Like, you know, like you go to, I guess you go to a cricket match or whatever. Like let's say you're at a cricket match and you got home field advantage and the crowd is just on fire and the energy's electric. Like, and it's like that feeling of like insurmountable odds.
Yeah.
I can't imagine him not feeling anything other than
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
Like he had to feel like this is totally impossible, like from the first setup. But he didn't stop fighting, you know. And you see so many times you see Devon bleed people and break them mentally. I don't think that he was. I think he was frustrated, but I didn't see the guy quit at all. You know,
Yeah.
like we didn't see him pin himself. We didn't see him. You
Mhm.
know, so I thought, you know, in a loss against Devon, that's about as valiantly as you can perform.
And he must have learned a lot from this match. But what one thing that I didn't like much from Prudnik is that I watched a couple of videos where he was explaining why he kind of lost, and he gave some excuses as to why he lost. But I don't think he ever even once said like, yes, Devon was that much strong, Devon was that much technical. First thing that he said that the referee started him like this. His wrist was like this before. I don't know before the start as well. I don't know how much truth there is to that claim. And second of all, it felt like more of a leverage problem, like why he lost.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with Vitali as well. Like he couldn't do anything with Vitali. I think it is more of a leverage problem, and he also mentioned that. And the second thing about the hook is that he said Devon top rolled me, and then when he got back in a hook, like I was like holding him here, so it was not possible for me to do anything in that hook. This is what Prudnik got from as to why he lost that match.
Yeah, I mean, you hear excuses a lot. I guess some of them are valid. And I guess it depends on the person. This to me is like a pet peeve, like point. Um, I don't, there are always reasons that you lose. Most of them are obvious. Some of them are not, they're not surface level. Um, they all have validity. It all depends on how you choose to use them. I hear it so much, and I don't even want to say, but like I do hear a lot of times, like I don't want to say like east west or whatever, but like I do hear a lot of excuses.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like from the Europeans, like
Yeah.
I don't. Now you hear them everywhere, you know what I mean? But I just feel like it's skewed a little bit that way. I
Mm.
don't know if it's a cultural thing or not, but for me, I choose to never be a slave to those excuses because they won't make an excuse will never make you better.
Yeah.
It will never ever make you better at all. And like I always try to come into a match and say no excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there are some things here or there, that's me talking to me. Because if I allow excuses into my head, that's giving myself a permission, it's giving myself like access to a loss. It's giving myself a reason why I don't want to scapegoat. I want my back against the wall. So I don't. There are valid reasons, and maybe those are things that Prudnik is citing. I usually try and keep those valid reasons within close friends because at least then I'm not allowing myself to be a slave to excuses.
Yeah.
So I don't like I didn't hear that I didn't hear the post match thing. I'll have to go ahead and look at
Mm-hmm.
it. But yeah, I think at this juncture it's best to just
Yeah.
give credit where credit's due.
L-
You
like
know,
like Travis like Travis Bagent used to say, like, if you lost because I cheated, then what you're going to work on, you're probably just going to hope the next time I don't cheat and I'm going
yeah.
to cheat again.
Yeah, or work on cheating better. Like, all right, yeah, he cheated. All right, lesson learned, duly noted.
Mm.
Next time I go to practice, work on cheating
Mm.
or work on defending cheating. Like,
Yeah.
it's you can use it as an excuse or you can use it as a learning
Yeah.
experience.
All right, man. Thanks, Paul. I'm going to interview Adam Borzinski, who was
Yeah,
like
we
the.
didn't talk about that one.
Yeah, yeah.
We
He was
didn't
the.
talk about
Maybe
that.
we can get it done if in 3 4 minutes. I'm just about to interview him.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Look, I'll give you my take. I have not pulled Adam. I know his level to an extent from being in the U.S. He totally, after I met him face to face, he's a top notch character dude, and his level is exactly what we hoped it was. The dude's a dog. He's an absolute beast, and to see him perform that way against Bojidar, and I know there was a weight gap. Everybody keeps talking about this weight gap, but Adam cut weight to get there. Bojidar had the option to gain. He didn't. Those are choices. The match was close in weight, and Adam absolutely dominated. And I know he put out like an apology about his response
So,
in the
just one
post
second. I apologize to cut you off. I just got a message from Adam like 1 minute ago. He wants to reschedule it for like a later time. So like we have time.
Okay, so I won't rush it. Anyway, he just put out a Facebook apology about like his response after the win. And Adam and I are very similar people.
Why? Why?
Again, yeah, we'll get to it. Did you see what he wrote? Anyway,
Yeah,
so
I just sorry.
Adam,
I just missed what you were saying a couple of minutes ago because I was replying to him. Like, why did he apologize for what?
so I guess after the match, he basically said, I don't know what the question Artem gave him was, but he responded like something to the effect of like you something to the effect of like what in the press conference, Bojidar said he was going to baptize him or something, and Bojidar said a few things leading up that were like, yeah, you know what I mean, things that I would have probably taken as like, yeah, okay, you're okay, that's weird, thank you, that would give me motivation, you know. And then after the match, Adam was just kind of like, well, you want to know my level? Just rewind the tape and rewatch the match. There's nothing here to talk about. There it is, right there. Just rewatch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He kind of, but it was a product of the energy in the moment.
Yeah.
And I messaged him back on his post, like, dude, you don't have anything to be, you don't have
Yeah.
anything to
Of course.
apologize for. We all got a beast inside of us. And sometimes when you're in the moment, it's hard to control that. You know, here you are on the biggest stage for the first time in your life. You're absolutely dominantly performing, and you're letting that side of you out. Like, you didn't say anything terrible. Like, he just basically, you said watch the film. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But no, he's aces, dude. He's aces in spades. We have a lot in common. He played college football. We have a very similar path in life and everything. He played the same position I did, played at a high level. He's just a lot younger than me. But like the way he chooses to present himself, his articulation, like what he holds valuable, his training approach, all that stuff is like I identify with that guy a lot. He's a dog, and you can just tell that he has something inside of him that you're not seeing on the surface.
Yeah.
That like, so I think that this guy, um, like if you talk about like Samusha, like a good match for Samusha, I know Samusha's probably gonna get Craig Touye next,
Yeah.
but this is the American guy who can meet Samusha in that style of hook.
Yeah.
I am not the guy to meet him in that style of hook. My style of hook is coming away from him.
Yeah.
It can work, but if you want to see somebody go to where Samusha goes and maybe be able to beat him,
Yeah.
that's the guy.
And I liked his energy, his style in the beginning when the first time Bojidar tried to top roll him and he was like when they slipped apart. No, I think Bojidar elbow fouled. He cupped him in and then Bojidar elbow fouled and he was like, try that again, try that again. I want you to come hard this time. And after he pinned him in the first round, are you able to hear me? Okay. So and after he pinned him in the first round, he was like to the crowd, and is this your world champion, Europeans?
Mhm.
I was
Yeah,
like, I absolutely loved that.
that's
I,
what he's apologizing for, right now. But I'm like, dude, you can do it. Like for me, in the moment, I choose to maybe just yell
yeah,
because then I'm not saying nothing. Like, but at the same time, you just win a match against a world champion. There is going to be something that is going to happen from inside of you. Like that was your manifestation of it. Don't be embarrassed of it. Don't be ashamed of it. Like maybe if you don't like it on your part, then do something different next time. But that is going to happen when you are on the world stage and you beat somebody you're not supposed to beat. Something is going to happen and something is going to come from you in some way, shape, or form. It's not something to be ashamed of at all.
yeah. Do you know what exactly his weight was when he competed? I think the weight cap was 93, but man, he looked massive. Like when Bojidar was trying to grip him up, like his wrist and hand thickness, he looked like a mini Denis Siplankov.
I think the cap was 92. I
Okay.
could be wrong, but he was like so the only people that were really cut coming into this were me, Justin, and him. So like we came in, I brought my scale and everything, and we're all we're preparing for this. And I'm talking to Adam about the cut and everything and where he at. He was, I think he was 8 pounds away when he got there. And he was basically just controlling his water intake, tons of water, and then eating a little bit. And he was just like, I think I'm close, whatever. He made the cut easy, a couple pounds in the morning. Now, what did he rebound to? I don't think he rebounded that much. Like I think he was maybe, so what's 92? 92 is like 205.
205, yeah, about that.
Yeah. I think he was maybe 210, maybe 212. Like he might have rebounded like 6 or 8 pounds, but it
Hmm.
wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
So, and I know Bojidar might have been like a little bit under 90, and he was walking around at that.
Hmm.
So there was a little bit of a weight difference,
Yeah.
but I don't think it would matter. Like, had Adam cut down to Bojidar's weight, he would have just rebounded more. And that's where people start getting all funky about these weights. And it's like, guys, like, I could have made 90 at that. I could have. Like, all I had to do was stay in the sauna. I could have made 90. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, you can keep taking it out. Like, you have a percentage of your body weight that you can lose. The difference is, and I find it interesting because Irakli he was not cutting weight the way I was. He had no plan of going to the sauna. He didn't go to the sauna. He just starved himself. And this is why when I look at these things, I'm like, and he wanted to weigh in early because he was having a hard time getting down from 100 to 95 because he wasn't eating. And I'm like, dude, what? Like, eat. Like, just eat clean and then cut water. That's what I'm doing. So to me, it's strange because I always thought like I always assumed the Europeans prepping for worlds are cutting all this water, and I don't know if they are.
Hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, Brzezinski's a beast.
Yeah. So I think, Paul, that was about it. We'll upload it as soon as it gets converted. And
Yes,
thank you very much. And guys, please subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my channel as well if you have some time, if you want some arm wrestling news. And you're gonna have to make me a promise. We need to make it a weekly thing. It doesn't have
yeah.
to be on the same day every time. If we're recording, we can post it anytime we want, but once every
What
week.
you and I have to do is work out a time that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whether it be in the late evening, we need to sync up our timelines, or in the early morning. I can do like early morning before work, or I can do evenings as well. We just got to figure out a time, and it doesn't necessarily have to be on the same day. It's just a time that makes sense.
Hmm. Right. Thank you very much,
So,
Paul.
all right, brother. Take care.